For almost 30 years since she passed away, people have loved Elizabeth Montgomery for her famous role as Samantha Stevens in the popular TV show Bewitched.
I have yet to see a table lighter that works. Just once, I would like to see.
But now a surprising discovery has shown us a different side of her life, full of secrets and excitement. This fantastic story is filled with glamour, mystery, and secret passions, taking us deep into Elizabeth Montgomery's private life. Join Factverse as we bring you intimate details about Elizabeth Montgomery.
I'm not surprised at you, Holland. I guess it's my fault because I gave you too much.
With just a subtle twitch of her nose, Elizabeth Montgomery captivated audiences as the cunning witch Samantha Stevens on the beloved show Bewitched. Her off-screen persona was just as mesmerizing. Known for her genuine and humble nature, Elizabeth was regarded as one of the least pretentious stars, particularly by those who worked alongside her on the set of Bewitched. This grounded quality endeared her to fans and colleagues, earning her unwavering admiration and affection.
But I mean, it never occurred to me that it was going to be as enormous a hit as it is.
However, one person seemed impervious to Elizabeth's enchantment: her father, Robert Montgomery. A renowned movie star in his own right, he married Broadway actress Elizabeth Allen, who eventually abandoned her career for her husband. Despite his love for his daughter, Robert never wanted Elizabeth to pursue acting. Even though Robert offered her numerous opportunities in his series, he disapproved of Elizabeth's acting ambitions. According to Herbie J. Pilato, a writer, actor, and producer of Bewitched, their relationship was fraught with tension. They were often at odds with each other on various matters. Pilato explains that despite Elizabeth making her television debut in an episode of Robert's anthology series Top Secret, her father never wanted her to become an actress. Instead, he hoped she would opt for a more traditional path, settling down to marry and lead a regular life. Disagreements between Elizabeth and her father were a constant presence throughout their lives. Their contrasting political views only widened the rift between them. Moreover, Montgomery struggled to forgive her father for divorcing her mother and remarrying. Undeterred by her father's disapproval, Elizabeth relocated to Manhattan and registered at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. In 1951, she managed to convince her father to feature her in his television program, Robert Montgomery Presents. However, his support was far from unconditional. As Elizabeth garnered praise for her Broadway performances, her father remained a stern critic, often sending her notes pointing out her onstage mistakes. Attempts to win her father's approval, such as her short-lived marriage to Frederick Kamen in 1954, were fruitless. Frederick, a young, wealthy, and handsome man, was well regarded by Robert Montgomery. However, the marriage was destined to fail, as Elizabeth aspired to be a star, while Fred sought a more traditional wife. Elizabeth's tumultuous relationship with her father significantly influenced her romantic relationships. Within a year of her divorce, she married Gig Young, an actor twice her senior and a troubled alcoholic. This rebellious act was a direct challenge to her father. Eventually, however, Elizabeth realized she could no longer endure the abuse and left Gig, finally breaking free from the shadow of her father's expectations. Beyond the tensions already described, Robert Montgomery's prestige in Hollywood also placed an unspoken pressure upon Elizabeth. Growing up, Elizabeth was often introduced as Robert Montgomery's daughter, overshadowing her individual accomplishments. Contemporary articles and interviews from the 1950s and 1960s reveal that Robert Montgomery was proud of his own career trajectory. He starred in films such as Here Comes Mr. Jordan, 1941, and They Were Expendable, 1945, yet found the Hollywood environment harsh and unforgiving. He was concerned that his daughter would experience heartbreak or exploitation in an industry he himself had come to view with cynicism. Some family friends recall that whenever Elizabeth mentioned a new audition or a potential stage role, Robert would respond with caution rather than enthusiasm. This manifested in a subtle emotional distance. On one hand, he provided opportunities for Elizabeth and Robert Montgomery presence, but on the other, he reportedly critiqued her fiercely.
I was just going to get my train.
Seldom offering the fatherly warmth or praise she so desperately sought. This paradoxical behavior added to Elizabeth's determination to succeed on her own, forging her own path away from the paternal safety net.
The luxury of being able to sit back and say, okay, now I'm going to wait, and I hope that I have a career.
Some historians and writers have gone further, suggesting that Robert's own mother, Elizabeth's paternal grandmother, had also harbored strong opinions about the place of women in society, insisting that a daughter should prioritize marriage and a stable household over a career. Raised in such an environment, Robert Montgomery's expectations of his daughter may have been shaped by generational norms and family traditions. Elizabeth's decision to strike out independently was therefore not only a personal rebellion, but also a statement against long-standing familial expectations. Despite facing personal challenges, Elizabeth's professional career continued to flourish. She made appearances in numerous TV series and received the first of her 9 Emmy nominations in 1961. While working on the 1963 crime drama Johnny Cool, she fell in love with the film's director, William Asher. He would become her third husband and the father of their 3 children. After marrying in 1963, Elizabeth and William welcomed their first child, Bill, on July 24, 1964. Although Elizabeth was inclined to focus on her family, William encouraged her to keep pursuing her acting career. Elizabeth finally found contentment in both her personal and professional lives.
I just want you to know how lucky I think I am.
Thank you, darling.
Eager to collaborate on a project, William developed the sitcom Bewitched, which featured Elizabeth as a charming witch. The show became a massive success, earning William an Emmy in 1966. After entertaining fans for 8 years, Bewitched concluded in 1972. During the show's run, the couple had 2 more children, Robert and Rebecca, whose pregnancies were cleverly integrated into the storyline as Samantha's pregnancies. With the conclusion of Bewitched, Elizabeth was keen to step back from acting and concentrate on her family. However, William's ambitious spirit made it difficult for him to slow down. According to their son Bill, this was the primary reason behind the couple's eventual divorce. Behind the scenes, turbulence was taking hold. William's infidelity deeply wounded Elizabeth. During the show's 8th year, Montgomery also fell for director Richard Michaels, leading to an affair that caused the demise of both their marriages and the end of the series. After filming concluded in 1972, the two moved in together, but their relationship lasted only 2.5 years. Eventually, Elizabeth's heart mended, and she met her 4th husband, actor Robert Foxworth. The couple shared a blissful marriage until Elizabeth's untimely passing from colon cancer at age 62 in 1995. Following her death, Robert married actress Stacey Thomas in 1995-1998. Meanwhile, the Asher brothers have been actively involved in their guitar restoration ventures, providing fans a peek into their workshop through a recent Instagram post. The uncommon photograph was shared on their company's official Instagram page, captioned, "Brother Luthier's Bill and Robert Asher restoring this 1920s Herman Weissenborn and a 1930s National Tricone." Elizabeth would undoubtedly be proud of her sons, who have succeeded in their chosen paths. While they did not pursue acting careers like their mother, they are clearly passionate about their work. Elizabeth Montgomery's love life. Elizabeth Montgomery's love life, while public, also contained layers of complexity that were seldom revealed in interviews. Upon reflection, friends and co-stars sensed that her search for fulfillment mirrored her childhood longing for approval. From her marriage to the troubled Gig Young, an experience that ended due to his alcoholism and abuse, to her passionate union with William Asher, Elizabeth's life was marked by both ardent romance and emotional upheaval. Frederick Kamen, 1954 to 1955. Their marriage was seen by Hollywood insiders as an attempt at reconciling with her father's wishes. Kamen, coming from a well-to-do family, appeared to embody the safe choice. Their honeymoon was spent in romantic settings, but tension brewed as Elizabeth began receiving theater offers. Kamen, uncomfortable with public life and press attention, insisted they settle into domestic bliss in New York. For Elizabeth, who could sense her star rising, the relationship ended abruptly, stunning their social circles. Gig Young, 1956 to 1963. The attraction to Gig Young was immediate and intense. Friends say Elizabeth was mesmerized by his charisma and maturity, especially appealing given her history with an older, authoritative father figure. Yet Gig Young had demons of his own, primarily linked to heavy drinking, mood swings, and professional setbacks. Elizabeth tried to help him, often confiding in close friends that she believed Gig could change. Ultimately, she was forced to leave for her own emotional and physical safety. William Asher, 1963 to 1973. This marriage initially seemed like a storybook romance. Asher's creativity and success in television production matched Elizabeth's star power, making them a highly regarded Hollywood duo.
Owen Harbaugh was great. That was.
On the set of Bewitched, however, the pressures of maintaining a top-rated show, raising children, and dealing with the ever-watchful public eye
So cooperative. I mean, they couldn't do enough.
created fractures in their relationship. Though Elizabeth found fulfillment in motherhood, the spark between her and William waned as he pursued other interests, and she began an affair with Richard Michaels. Richard Michaels, 1972 to 1975. The affair that began quietly during the final season of Bewitched eventually became the talk of Hollywood gossip columns. While Elizabeth had hoped to find a gentler, more understanding partner in Michaels, the relationship dissolved after 2.5 years, leaving Elizabeth emotionally exhausted.
Many of you may not know the world of unpredictable wrestling, baby.
Some have speculated that the guilt and scrutiny stemming from how the relationship began may have contributed to its demise. Robert Foxworth, married 1993 to 1995, together from the 1970s. Although they married formally in 1993, Elizabeth and Robert Foxworth had been companions for many years. Foxworth, known for his roles in shows like Falcon Crest, offered Elizabeth a level of stability and genuine companionship she had long sought. By the time they wed, both had matured, weathered scandals, and found solace in a quieter life away from the insatiable curiosity of tabloid media. Her charm. Montgomery was one of Hollywood's most attractive and sought-after actresses, captivating stars such as Elvis Presley, Dean Martin, and Gary Cooper. However, the stunning blonde faced numerous challenges in her quest for happiness, going through 4 tumultuous marriages and captivating many of Hollywood's leading men.
Who watch the show think you're a witch?
Oh, yes.
Are
Yes.
you serious?
Well, they don't, I don't think. I kind of wish I were sometimes.
As revealed in a fascinating new book. It is now understood that she grappled with a father complex, often becoming enamored with older men and pursuing troubled lovers who subjected her to emotional and physical abuse.
Because it'd be nice to get rid of all those dishes in the sink, you know, as easily as I know I know you must feel the same way.
According to Herbie Pilato, author of the biography Twitch Upon a Star, Montgomery enchanted every man she encountered, but seemed drawn to troubled men rather than nice guys. Her inclination towards the bad boy archetype could have been a manifestation of her defiance towards her father. Despite owning Bentleys, a Beverly Hills mansion, and making millions from Bewitched, Elizabeth had a darker side. In the early 1960s, she became close friends with President John F. Kennedy, who was known for pursuing beautiful women.
People are always saying, like when the Dodgers were in such terrible trouble, you know, if anybody spotted me in the...
However, if anything happened between them, Elizabeth never mentioned it. Among her most troubled lovers was former ballet star Alexander Godunov, who later found success in films like Witness and Die Hard. Pilato notes that he was an alcoholic, and she was drawn to him, perhaps hoping to save him.
stadium, I'd hear, twitch, twitch, and unfortunately it didn't do us any good.
However, he was abusive and self-destructive. Elizabeth had an affair with him while she was with the man who became her 4th husband. When Montgomery ended the relationship, Godunov spiraled downward. A Hollywood insider claims he eventually drank himself to death, losing himself in an alcoholic haze. One recurring theme in discussions of Elizabeth Montgomery is her rare magnetism.
Rewrite the whole series?
Well, luckily, when I found out that I was pregnant with our 2nd little boy...
Castmates and production staff consistently described a certain warmth she exuded, making people feel at ease in her presence. This warmth, combined with her striking beauty, arguably contributed to her complicated personal affairs. Men of various backgrounds, actors, dancers, politicians, seemed unable to resist her allure. Even under professional stress, Elizabeth rarely lost her temper on set. Directors praised her professionalism and sense of humor. According to a stage manager from one of her early theater performances,
And we didn't know whether it was going to be a boy or a girl or,
What did they want on the show?
she never let the pressure of a performance get in the way of kindness. She was always the first to arrive and last to leave, greeting each person by name. Her synergy with co-stars was legendary. Whether exchanging comedic barbs with Agnes Moorehead in Dora and Bewitched, or sparring with veteran actors in dramatic guest roles, Elizabeth could shift effortlessly between comedic and dramatic modes. This fluidity made her a favorite of casting directors in the late 1950s and early 1960s, landing her roles in television anthologies, dramas, and, ultimately, the iconic Bewitched. Rumors of flirtation with Elvis Presley and Dean Martin occasionally surfaced in Hollywood gossip. Close friends claimed that Elvis, known for his own brand of show-stopping magnetism, became enthralled after meeting Elizabeth at a social gathering. However, any relationship, if it existed, never materialized publicly.
until we started working with scripts and things like that, and it just kind of worked out that I had a boy and Samantha had a girl.
Similarly, Dean Martin, part of the famed Rat Pack, once jokingly remarked at a party that he would sing the phone book if Liz Montgomery would stand beside me. These anecdotes, while sometimes exaggerated by tabloids, highlight her wide-reaching appeal. Elizabeth Montgomery was not only a talented actress, but also a passionate advocate for various liberal political and charitable causes. She devoted a significant portion of her time, resources, and energy to supporting various issues. As a champion of women's rights, AIDS activism, and LGBTQ+ rights, she consistently used her influence to make a difference. She was active. Elizabeth's activism was deeply influenced by the social upheavals of the 1960s. Growing up with a father who held more conservative views, Elizabeth was exposed to political debates from an early age. Living in New York for part of her teens, she witnessed the shifting social climate firsthand, developing empathy for marginalized communities.
Some things worked well enough without any magic on my part.
While less documented than her later AIDS or LGBT advocacy, Elizabeth is said to have quietly donated to civil rights organizations, particularly those championed by fellow entertainers like Harry Belafonte and Sammy Davis Jr.
Take the Chevy 2 Nova. No tricks, just reliability and a handy size.
Though she did not march in public protests, concerned about potential industry backlash, she supported the movement financially and privately. During a time when the feminist movement was gaining traction, Elizabeth took on roles and projects that subtly highlighted women's independence and strength, Bewitched being a prominent example, showcasing Samantha Stevens as a confident wife who often solved problems with her wit and powers. Off-screen, she donated to women's shelters and was part of fundraisers aimed at supporting victims of domestic violence, possibly shaped by her own experiences in abusive relationships. Her disapproval of the Vietnam War aligned with many Hollywood liberals of the era, but Elizabeth's stance was personal as well.
So trim and practical. Nova is a real no-nonsense car.
She often referenced her father's involvement in World War II-era propaganda films and expressed concern about government accountability. She participated in private gatherings aimed at raising awareness and funds for peace organizations, although she generally avoided large-scale, highly visible protests. As the AIDS crisis emerged in the 1980s, Elizabeth was among the first wave of mainstream television actors to champion awareness. She helped organize charity events, galas, and public service announcements.
Discover the difference at your Chevrolet dealer.
Additionally, her friendship with gay and lesbian actors and her co-hosting of the Los Angeles Gay Pride Parade with Dick Sargent marked a significant public stand, illustrating her commitment to LGBTQ+ causes in a period when many celebrities remained silent. She also served as the voiceover talent for two political movies that criticized American foreign policy: Cover Up, Behind the Iran-Contra Affair, 1988, and its Academy Award-winning follow-up, The Panama Deception, 1992. Demonstrating her commitment to pride rights, she and her former Bewitched co-star and close friend Dick Sargent volunteered as Grand Marshals at the Los Angeles Gay Pride Parade in June 1992. During the final year of her life, Montgomery continued to give back to her community, volunteering at numerous places, including the Los Angeles unit of Learning Ally. This nonprofit organization records educational books in accessible formats, such as specially formatted CDs and downloadable formats for individuals with disabilities. She also lent her talents to support Learning Ally's Los Angeles unit by producing a series of radio and television public service announcements. This further demonstrated her dedication to making education accessible for individuals with disabilities. In January 1995, she went on to record Aya Milne's 1952 best-selling poetry collection, When We Were Very Young, for the organization. On June 3, 1995, a mere 16 days after her passing, Learning Ally's Los Angeles branch paid tribute to Elizabeth Montgomery by dedicating their 1995 record-a-thon in her honor. Furthermore, a group of 21 notable individuals collaborated to lend their abilities in producing the audiobook version of Chicken Soup for the Soul, which was also devoted to honoring her treasured legacy.
Susan!
As Elizabeth's fame reached new heights, she chose to use her influence for the greater good. She was a trailblazer in the entertainment industry, becoming one of the first actresses to advocate for those affected by AIDS. This commitment to social justice resonated with the core message of Bewitched, where the love between Samantha and Darren transcended their differences and challenged prejudice. Through her advocacy and activism, Elizabeth Montgomery's legacy extends beyond her on-screen roles, leaving a lasting impact on the causes she passionately championed. In the months leading up to her demise, Elizabeth Montgomery faced a battle with cancer. She had initially dismissed flu-like symptoms while working on Deadline for Murder, from the files of Edna Buchanan, which she completed filming in late March 1995. By the time her cancer was diagnosed, it had already spread from her colon to her liver, making medical intervention futile. Determined not to spend her final days in a hospital, Montgomery opted to return to her Beverly Hills home, which she shared with Robert Foxworth. Tragically, on May 18, 1995, at 8:22 a.m. Pacific Time, Elizabeth passed away in her sleep, a mere 8 weeks after her diagnosis and 33 days after her 62nd birthday. On June 18, 1995, a month prior to her passing, a touching memorial service was held at the Cannon Theater in Beverly Hills. Herbie Hancock performed music while Dominic Dunn reminisced about their early friendship in New York City. Other speakers included her husband, Robert Foxworth, who read sympathy cards from fans, as well as her nurse, brother, daughter, and stepson. Elizabeth's remains were cremated at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery. Following her death, the family home in Patterson, Putnam County, New York, which Montgomery had retained, was sold and eventually became a part of Wonder Lake State Park.